The Battle of Lexington, the shot heard round the world. D-Day. There are key battles in American history, in world history, that are known to us because they're part of our story. Well, the Muslim terrorists have a battle. Do you know the name of it? It is in many ways the central event of all Islamic history. We're going to look at it today. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Friend, it's called the Battle of Badr. B-A-D-R. The Muslims believe that it is the seminal battle of all human history, on par with Moses leading the children of Israel through the Red Sea and God drowning Egyptians in Pharaoh's army. That's how critical this battle is in Islamic ideology and in theology, Islamic theology, and how critical it is in the mindset of Islamic terrorists. The Battle of Badr was the turning point for Muhammad. You're about to learn something that you're simply not seeing on CNN or even Fox TV for that matter. But it's all true. And as you'll see, it's only the words of Muslim historians. Ladies and gentlemen, the Battle of Badr.
To understand Islam and its impact on the world, we need to investigate the words of Muhammad and study his life. Then look at the people who most closely follow his words and his example, including Islamic terrorists. Muhammad was an Arab, born in 570 AD in the city of Mecca on the Arabian Peninsula. His mother's name was Amina, his father's name Abdullah. His father died while his mother was still pregnant. When he was 6 years old, his mother died. He lived with his grandfather for 2 years, and then his grandfather died. At 8 years old, Muhammad was an orphan. His uncle, Abu Talib, took him in and raised him. In his 20s, he worked for a woman named Khadija. She was older than him, wealthy, and respected. Khadija proposed marriage to Muhammad, saying that he was hardworking and that his clan spoke highly of him. They married when he was 25. They had 7 children, 3 boys and 4 girls. All of his sons died in childhood. All of his daughters lived to adulthood. The most famous was Fatima. In his 30s, every year he secluded himself in a cave for a month to pray to the God of Abraham. When he was 40, Muhammad said he began to have visions. Ibn Ishaq reports,
"When it was the night on which God honored him with his mission, Gabriel brought him the command of God."
Muhammad said,
"The angel caught me forcefully and pressed me so hard that I could not bear it anymore. He then released me and again asked me to read, and I replied, I do not know how to read."
This happened 3 times. And on the 3rd time, Muhammad said Gabriel told him to recite.
"Read in the name of your Lord, who has created man from a clot. Recite, and your Lord is the most generous."
He went to his wife and told her what happened. He was afraid he was going crazy or had seen a demon. She assured him he was not. Khadija was the first person to accept Muhammad's new religion, Islam. Muhammad's 10-year-old cousin, Ali, was the first male to accept Islam. Muhammad soon declared Ali his heir and later gave Ali his daughter Fatima as his wife, which has enormous impact in Muslim history. For the first 3 years, Muhammad shared his message secretly with relatives or trusted friends. After 3 years, Muhammad said that the angel Gabriel told him to preach his message publicly, beginning with his clan. He called his relatives together.
I am a warner to you in the face of a terrible doom. I summon you to God and warn you of his punishment. Save yourself from hellfire.
His uncle Lahab cursed him.
Damn you! May your hands perish this day. Did you only bring us together for this?
Muhammad's troubles began. His message enraged the pagan leaders. He endured insults and persecution. But because Muhammad's uncle, Abu Talib, was the head of his clan and a very powerful man in Mecca, Muhammad preached under his uncle's protection. The leaders of Mecca were so outraged at Muhammad's message, they sought his uncle's permission to kill him.
Your nephew has cursed our gods, insulted our religion, mocked our way of life, and accused our forefathers of error. Either you must stop him or let us get at him to kill him.
Abu Talib repeatedly said no, in spite of the growing tension. Mecca was home to hundreds of idols, including the Kaaba, the black stone they believed fell from the sky. Pagans came from hundreds of miles to worship these idols. Muhammad's condemnation of idolatry was a threat to Mecca's prestige and a threat to the wealthy and the powerful. On one occasion, some of the elders were mocking Muhammad while he prayed. They instigated a man named Uqba to put sheep intestines on Muhammad's back while he was bowed down in prayer. Muhammad's daughter, Fatima, came and took the guts off his back. Muhammad rose and cursed the leaders who stood by laughing.
O Allah, punish Abu Jahl, Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, Shaybah ibn Rabi'ah, Al-Walid ibn Utbah, Umayr ibn Khalaf, and Uqbah ibn al-Mu'ayt.
That curse plays a huge role in Muhammad's story.
Today, many so-called Christian intellectuals believe that the God of evolution used billions of years of death and destruction to evolve the bodies of the first human beings. Then, they simply declare the theory of evolution as fact to justify their unproven scientific fallacies. By the grace of God, more and more Catholics are rejecting this modern-day mythology in favor of the traditional doctrine of creation, as recorded by the Bible and believed and taught by all the fathers and doctors of the church. To find out how sound theology and natural science confirm the sacred history of Genesis, visit the Colby Center for the Study of Creation, and be sure to check out our bookstore, which has titles like I Have Spoken to You from Heaven, A Catholic Defense of Creation in 6 Days, and A Catholic Assessment of Evolutionary Theory. That's the Colby Center for the Study of Creation.
Muhammad then received 2 severe personal blows. His uncle and protector, Abu Talib, and his wife Khadijah both died within weeks of each other. Abu Talib's death was catastrophic for Muhammad. Ibn Ishaq said,
With the death of Abu Talib, he lost his strength and stay in his personal life and the defense and protection against his tribe. The Quraysh began to treat him in an offensive way which they would not have dared to follow in his uncle's lifetime.
with Muhammad's protector dead, he was in danger. He was ready to move to any city that would embrace him as a prophet and protect him and his followers with their swords. After 10 years of preaching, Muhammad only had about 200 converts. So for the next 2 years, he spoke to every tribe that arrived in Mecca on pilgrimage, saying,
I am God's messenger to you, commanding you to worship God, to cast off whatever idols you worship other than Him, to believe in me and the truth of my message, and to defend me so that I may make manifest the message of God I have been sent to convey.
Finally, a small group of men from Medina responded to him. They agreed to follow his new religion and allow him to settle disputes among them. Then, a second larger group of men came from Medina. including some of their leaders who pledged to follow Muhammad's new religion and to defend him and his followers with the sword if they would relocate to Medina. Muhammad ordered his followers to emigrate to Medina, some 300 miles to the north. Every Muslim left Mecca for Medina, with the exception of Muhammad, his cousin Ali, a few Muslim women, and his father-in-law, Abu Bakr, the father of Muhammad's child bride, Aisha, who was about 8 years old at that time. As the Muslims were leaving, Meccan leaders grew fearful that Muhammad might use his new position of strength in Medina to launch an attack against them. So, a plot was conceived to kill Muhammad before he left. Muhammad learned of their plans, and he and Abu Bakr escaped to a cave outside the city. Ultimately, Muhammad, Abu Bakr, Ali, and the remaining Muslim women reached Medina in safety. This event is a key scene in the Muslim religion. Muhammad and Abu Bakr were hiding in a cave for days. Search parties were looking for Muhammad to kill him. Food and camels were snuck out to them. Guides were hired to lead them to Medina. This departure from Mecca actually begins the Muslim calendar. It's called the Hijrah. If the story ended here, Muhammad preaching in Mecca, the Muslims being persecuted, then fleeing to another city to practice their religion, if that was the end, the claim that Islam is a religion of peace and that Muhammad was a man of peace would be true. This story would have been like many stories of persecuted religious minorities emigrating. But that's not the end with Muhammad. As the Meccans feared, in Medina, Muhammad became a leader of jihad, all-out war. Once the Muslims got settled in Medina, Muhammad sent some of his men on a mission. The mission was to steal a Meccan caravan during a holy month. Muhammad's men found the caravan and stole it. In the process, they killed one of the men leading it and took 2 hostages. One other man escaped back to Mecca. Muhammad's men brought all the stolen goods and hostages back to him and told him what they did. Muhammad rebuked them.
I did not order you to kill anyone in the sacred month.
Muhammad's men were terrified. They had breached a long-held religious tradition. Do not shed blood in a holy month. Gossip and grumbling raced through Medina and Mecca because Muhammad's men murdered during the sacred month. Then, Muhammad said he got a revelation from God.
They ask you about the sacred month, about fighting therein. Say, fighting therein is great sin. But averting people from the way of Allah and disbelief in Him, and preventing access to the sacred mosque, and the expulsion of its people from there are greater evil in the sight of Allah. Tumult and oppression are worse than slaughter.
Muhammad said what the Meccans did by driving the Muslims out of Mecca was worse than murdering a man in the sacred month. Muhammad took the stolen property, then extorted money from the Meccans to free the hostages. There was no justice for the murdered man. Muhammad then learned that a huge Meccan caravan with over 30 armed guards was traveling from Syria, dwarfing the caravan they stole earlier. He told his men,
This caravan belongs to Quraysh and will carry much wealth. Attack it. God may present it to you.
Muhammad himself led the expedition. This was an act of war. His biographers say,
The men got ready, some pleased, the others apprehensive. They did not know the messenger of God would make war.
some of his followers would not even go out with him. After more than a decade preaching in Mecca and over a year of preaching in Medina, his followers did not know that Muhammad would make war. They thought he was a man of peace, that Islam would be spread by peaceful preaching. Up till then, that was true, but everything was about to change.
Have Muslim terrorists hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam? Or is there more to the story? The answer lies in the life of one man, Muhammad, the founder of Islam. Muslim terrorists see themselves inside a 1,400-year-old story, a narrative that focuses on specific events in the life of Muhammad. We are going to look at Muhammad's life using their most sacred literature. We will look at Muhammad at the Battle of Badr. We'll see him deal with those who mock him. We'll see the times when he used deception. We'll witness Muhammad's anti-Semitism. And yes, we will discuss Muhammad and his teachings concerning sex, slavery, and jihad. Friend, if you want to understand Islamic terrorism, get this series today.
Ibn Kathir states,
This was the first battle pitting his men against his enemies.
the battle took place at a small desert oasis named Badr. The story of the Battle of Badr is told over and over again in mosques across the world. As we'll see, this battle was the turning point where Muhammad began using force to spread his religion. The Battle of Badr is a foundational story in the hearts and minds of terrorists. The Meccans learned of Muhammad's plans to steal their caravan and quickly marshaled an army to protect it. They had around 1,000 men and 200 horses for their cavalry. Many of the leaders of Mecca who had mocked Muhammad went out to fight. Muhammad had just over 300 men, 70 camels, and only 2 horses. Muhammad's men did not come out to fight an army. They came to steal a wealthy caravan. But the caravan had escaped, and now Muhammad's men faced an army triple their size. Muhammad did something brand new. He incited his men to war, Muslims call it jihad, by promising them if they died in battle, they would go to paradise.
By God, in whose hand is the soul of Muhammad, no man will be slain this day fighting against them with steadfast courage, advancing, not retreating, but God will cause him to enter paradise.
Prior to this moment, Muhammad never made a connection between fighting and dying in jihad and getting paradise as the reward. Prior to this, heaven came by believing in his message. The promise of gaining paradise through death in battle was new and proved highly successful. A man named Umayyar said,
Fine, fine. Is there nothing between me and my entering paradise, save to be killed by these men? He seized his sword and fought against them till he was slain.
A man named Umayyar said,
O apostle of God, what makes the Lord laugh with joy at his servant?
Muhammad answered,
When he plunges into the midst of the enemy without mail.
Mail, or chain-link armor, was what they wore to protect themselves in battle.
So off drew off the mail coat that was on him and threw it away. Then he seized his sword and fought the enemy till he was slain.
Muhammad said that what makes God laugh with joy is a man who throws away his armor and throws away his life as he dies fighting those who oppose Muhammad. This history inspires today's atrocities. Those men are hailed as heroes, and they're imitated by Islamic terrorists. The Battle of Badr raged. Muhammad's men fought fiercely and won. 300 Muslims routed 1,000 Meccans. 70 Meccans were killed. 70 were taken as hostages. The rest fled back to Mecca. Only 14 Muslims were killed and none were taken hostage. The Battle of Badr was the turning point for Muhammad and the Muslims. They viewed this victory as a miraculous sign from Allah himself that Muhammad was the prophet of Allah.
And Allah has already made you victorious at Badr when you were a weak little force. And here has already been a sign for you in the two armies that met.
All but one of the elders that Muhammad cursed years earlier in Mecca died in battle at Badr. This was yet another sign to Muhammad's followers that he was Allah's apostle. Their dead bodies were thrown into a dried out well that was filled with refuse. Muhammad stood over their dead bodies, taunting them. What Would Muhammad Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, "I learned more from What Would Muhammad Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life." Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, "What Would Muhammad Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced." Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. We have a special offer for those of you that can give a $50 gift to Voice of Resistance, the Randall Terry Pack. I will give you all 5 of my books that are still in print and my music CD that we cut in Nashville. And here's what else. I'll autograph all of them for you. And if you want me to say to Tom or to Sue so that you can give it as a gift to someone else or keep it in your library as a part of your collection, I'll personalize each one. Just say on the computer who you want it to go to, or tell the person who answers the phone, please have Randall personalize his autograph to these people. I'm going to give a phone number for those of you who don't want to use your computer. Call 304-289-3700. You can get Dragon Slayers, Accessory to Murder, Why Does a Nice Guy Like Me Keep Getting Thrown in Jail, and other books. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700. Well, I hope you can see why we believe that this series is so unique. The Battle of Badr was the turning point. It's where Muhammad went from being a peaceful preacher to a warlord, to being somebody who is a leader of jihad. That's the place where Muhammad started to tell his men they would go to heaven, paradise, have virgins for their sexual pleasure. It's if they died in battle. And all of that started at the Battle of Badr. We in America don't know these stories. That's why I produced this series. My mission right now, we're doing 24 nights of the entire series of What Would Muhammad Do. This is your chance to get master's degree research in your fingertips. 1 set for $35, 2 sets for $60, 4 sets for $100, 10 sets for $200. But if you cannot afford even $35 for 4 DVDs, my intention is that you still have this because you need it. You need this. Your pastor needs this. So write us a note. You see the address there on your screen. Write us a note and send us a gift of whatever you can afford. And we will send you the entire series. We're not in this for the money.
We're in this to change the course of American history, to change the course of our public policy, and to save ourselves from Islamic terrorism. Take advantage of this offer and get the series today.
Mm-hmm.